Thank you very much. Good afternoon. The board meeting of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and its component units is now being called to order. Today's in-person meeting is also being held virtually via teleconference with the proceedings live streamed from the Port Authority website. On December 7th, the Committees on Governance and Ethics met in executive session. Earlier today, the Committees on Capital, Planning, Execution, and Asset Management met in public and executive sessions, and the Committee on Security met in executive session. The reports will be filed with the official minutes of today's board meeting. The Commissioners also met in executive session earlier today to discuss matters involving public safety and law enforcement, matters involving ongoing negotiations or reviews of contracts or proposals, matters related to personnel or personnel procedures, and to discuss and act upon matters related to the purchase or lease of real property where disclosure would affect the value thereof of the public interest. Our first order of business today, we're going to hear from our Executive Director on his last report of the year. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want today, since it is our last board meeting of the year, to review the highlights of 2023, a year of major accomplishments at the Port Authority. Before I turn to that agenda, however, we did have one tragic event that occurred in 2023 at our ports. Two brave Newark firefighters, Augusto Akabu and Wayne Brooks Jr., lost their lives in fighting that fire, and we continue to hold them in our hearts and extend condolences to their families. Turning to the overall 2023 agenda of the agency. The agency had quite a year. From the rebuild of our three major airports to the release of our roadmap to net zero to the opening of the Performing Arts Center on the World Trade Center campus, we continue to deliver across all lines of business. The agency's remarkable 2023 builds on last year's progress. And as we look back at 2023, we thank all of our dedicated employees who are driving these advances. We include in that a vigorous thank you to the 2/3 of our workforce that is represented, and we also express our continuing gratitude to the leaders of the 23 unions which represent them. And as we discuss our many construction projects, we particularly thank the women and men of organized labor who actually build our facilities. So let me start with the Port Authority's 5 operating departments. Our 3 major airports had an extraordinary year, from building world-class facilities to operating at best-in-class levels. The Port Authority opened 2/3 of new Terminal A at Newark in January of 23 to rave reviews, and the agency completed and opened the full world-class new Terminal A in September. Full completion of the new 3,000-car parking garage with its consolidated rental facility followed rapidly. To top it off, Terminal A is also a finalist in this year's UNESCO competition for Best New Airport in the World, and one of only three finalists. What a series of achievements for 2023. Across the river, the whole new LaGuardia continued to receive awards and quality ratings not achieved by a Port Authority airport in decades. In September, Skytrax gave LGA's new Terminal B its highest rating, a 5-star quality award, and it's the only terminal in the U.S. to achieve this 5-star rating. Turning to JFK, Terminal 6 broke ground in February of 2023, and board authorization of the Port Authority contract to build roads, garages, and other infrastructure was awarded on June 2023. 2023 at JFK became the year that all 4 terminal deals and our roadway infrastructure rebuild of the entire $19 billion JFK transformation became fully and vigorously underway. That is an extraordinary achievement given that the COVID crisis had cratered 3 of the 4 JFK deals, and they had to be put back together. I want to say in public, an extraordinary effort by the entire deal team, Chief Development Officer, Aviation Redevelopment, Law, Finance, Community and Government Relations, Procurement, and Engineering departments. This project would not be possible without their efforts, and we also thank our private partners, LaGuardia Gateway Partners, Delta, New Terminal 1, JMP, Loop Capital, Ferrovial, JFK, IAT. This was truly a group effort. Looking beyond the redevelopment building projects, 24/7 airport operation centers are now in full operation on both the land side and air side at all three of our major airports. An extraordinary cooperative endeavor between aviation staff, the Port Authority, Police Department, and many other operating personnel. This new capability of our airport operation centers, paired with a new focus on customer experience, results in our airports either receiving or on their way to receiving their highest favorability ratings in decades. With regards to our passenger volumes at the airports for 2023, another remarkable performance. The Port Authority's airports set records throughout the year. Year-to-date, passenger volumes are more than 3% above 2019. Those 2019 volumes were records. Peak summer travel 2023 broke all previous records, and October saw the highest level of total passengers for any month in the agency's history. And additionally, international travel returned to 2019 records here in the final quarter of the year. All in all, quite a year. Our ability to handle these volumes has been due to the hard work of our employees, the entire airport community, and all of their employees. Turning to the seaport, the Port Authority's port operations achieved a pivotal strategic advance in August of 2023 when the Port Authority reached an agreement with CMA CGM, which is the world's third largest carrier, to acquire the two GCT marine terminals at Port Newark and at Howland Hook. These updated leases, negotiated by the Port Authority team, was part of an effort to seek to obtain increases in rent based on container throughput, commitments from our new terminal partner to invest in major facility improvements to increase capacity, and key initiatives related to sustainability and diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. This new lease template, which we will use going forward, dramatically raises the bar for coming Port Authority marine terminal leases and creates a strong foundation for enhanced success for the seaport's operations going forward. This was due to major work by the Chief Development Officer, the Director of the Port Department, our CFO, our General Counsel, and a multitude of others, and they deserve a real bravo. The seaport continued to successfully increase its share of the nation's ocean cargo shipping volumes in 2023. For January through October of 2023, the port was actually the leading port in the nation for 2 of those months, and the second busiest for 3 of those months. Overall, the seaport is now ending 2023 as the second busiest in the nation in terms of total loaded cargo containers. Post-COVID, as our director of the port just said, the raising of the Bayonne Bridge, the investments in rail infrastructure, has enabled the port to achieve an extraordinarily strong competitive position not seen for decades. The Port Department also marked a proud moment last month when it broke ground on a key and long-planned $220 million traffic improvement project at the Port Street Corridor, which has plagued and produced difficulties for traffic trying to move quickly through the port. The significance of the project was symbolized by the attendance at the groundbreaking of the U.S. Department of Transportation Deputy Secretary Polly Trottenberg and Admiral Ann Phillips, the head of the U.S. Department of Transportation Maritime Administration. Kudos to engineering, to the Port Authority Police Department, to traffic engineering, and to all Port Authority personnel who worked on this project. Turning to PATH, PATH had a significant trio of major milestones in 2023. A major development occurred last week. PATH kicked off the pilot of its new tap-and-go fare payment system, ending 2023 on a major high note. The PATH team, with support from the tech department, was the driver in achieving this milestone. In addition, in March of this year, PATH initiated its 9-car train service during peak periods on the Newark to World Trade Center line. This achievement was only made possible by 4 successful station reconstructions driven by the engineering department, extensive reprogramming of PATH's ATC signal system, and the first delivery of new train rail cars. All were needed to achieve 9-car service, and the agency delivered on all fronts. 2023 is the first time in PATH's 100-year history that the railroad has been able to offer 9-car service compared to the historic 7- and 8-car configurations. Furthermore, as 2023 is concluding, PATH developed with intense focus and received board approval for a $230 million rail car and track rehabilitation program to improve reliability across the railroad. PATH achieved also a steady increase in its ridership, hitting the milestone last month of more than 2/3 of pre-COVID 2019 volumes, the highest ridership seen since February of 2020. At the World Trade Center campus, another extraordinary success story. The Perlman Performing Arts Center opened in September to rave reviews. With the opening of the PAC to complement last year's completion of the Greek church, the core of the campus, the entire core of the campus, is now complete. Only the building site at the far southwest corner and the building site at the far northeast corner remain to be built. And the 900-plus activations that the Port Authority drove on the site in 2023 attest to the energy and vitality that the campus now brings to Lower Manhattan. Finally, leasing levels at Tower 1 are now above 95%. One World Trade Center has the most leasing activity of any office building in Lower Manhattan in recent years, an extraordinary success by any standard. Turning to the tunnels, bridges, and terminals, the traffic volumes in 2023 at our bridges and tunnels has been strong. From January through November, volumes defied any lasting impact from COVID and fully returned to or exceeded pre-COVID 2019 volumes. Thanks to TB&T, the Port Authority Police Department, all the bridges and tunnel agents for all their work to enable this volume of traffic to return. Continued progress was also made on the $2 billion Restore the George program, and replacement of the 592 suspender ropes is now approximately 70% complete. In another major milestone on the Restore the George, the George Washington Bridge also opened the improved and expanded pedestrian and cycling shared use path on the north side of the bridge in the wake of the completion of the installation of the suspender ropes on that side of the bridge. The opening of this new, beautifully designed bicycle and pedestrian link is impressive. Following the implementation of all electronic tolling at all of our crossings last year, 21 legacy toll booths have been demolished and removed, and this represents a major advance toward our ultimate goal of completely open road tolling. 2023 also saw the Port Authority achieve a dramatic increase in traffic safety. The rate of crashes at our bridges and tunnels plunged in 2023 and was 18% down from the previous year. This effort was recognized when the Port Authority won the 2023 National Roadway Safety Award. Turning to agency-wide initiatives, we put an enormous amount of effort into our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The Port Authority continues its steadfast focus on advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion within the agency, in its contracts, and its community development efforts. In 2023, across all agency spending through quarter three, we actually achieved a record percentage of 35% going to minority and women-owned firms. Not easy. This required extraordinary efforts by the procurement department, government and community relations departments, the engineering departments, all working with the line departments and the staff departments across the entire agency. At our airports, to build on the $2.4 billion worth of minority and women-owned business that went to that awarded to minority and women-owned businesses at LaGuardia, the $740 million awarded at Newark to minority and women-owned business. In 2023, as the JFK project gained momentum, our MWBE awards are now approaching the $2 billion mark, and we're still getting going. Behind just the numbers of MWBE contracting and our redevelopment projects, the agency continued to advance community development in other ways. A big thank you to Aviation, GoCorps, and the Development Office for making these programs, and procurement in making these programs happen. First, the Port Authority formed a partnership with the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey at Newark Liberty to prepare local business to successfully bid on AirTrain Newark contracts. The Port Authority also launched the PA Build pre-apprenticeship program to train individuals in trades relevant to the AirTrain Newark replacement program, which is taking a major step forward today. This year, PA Build trained and placed more than 14 individuals into the Local 3 Laborers Union as asbestos technicians as the initial effort. That effort will expand dramatically as the project gains momentum. In addition, the Port Authority graduated the first cohort of 25 students in the Keene University STEM program, providing lessons in STEM subjects to students in the neighborhoods surrounding Newark Liberty. And across the river in New York, the Port Authority launched a major trailblazing training program, the JFK Institute of Concessions, to train local and minority-owned firms to bid on concession opportunities. In November, the first class graduated with multiple additional cohorts in planning. Also at JFK, the Port Authority launched with its private partners a major aviation and aeronautics program at York College in Queens. On the ethics and integrity front, at the Port Authority, we maintained in 2023 the standard of integrity that underlies all that we do, and it is central to maintaining the trust of the public that we serve. In 2023, all Port Authority employees completed a mandatory integrity training on sexual harassment prevention, and I might say with 100% completion. Additionally, 100% of our non-represented workforce completed an in-depth code of ethics training, with our represented workforce to complete such training in the coming months. And, of course, we continue to investigate any and all complaints about violation of our ethics code, and we remain committed to the highest standard of integrity. On the sustainability front, the agency demonstrated its commitment to our sustainability agenda. The Port Authority took a huge leap forward by developing and publishing the Port Authority's Roadmap to Net Zero. This was a comprehensive, year-in-the-making, 80-page analysis detailing the pathway forward and outlining immediate steps. The agency did more than plan in the arena of sustainability. A couple of specifics. At the $19 billion JFK redevelopment, the agency opened a major barging operation, which will transport all new construction materials into the airport and all construction waste out of the airport via barge rather than by truck. In addition, all concrete for the redevelopment will be manufactured on site. This two-part, innovative, and very creative effort will result in 300,000 truck trips being eliminated from community streets. Thank you to Development Office, Airport Redevelopment, Aviation, Engineering, Law, Finance, and Procurement, and many others, including the Office of Sustainability, for extraordinary efforts to bring this program into existence. The historic Newark Liberty Building 1, which was home to flights by Amelia Earhart and Charles Lindbergh at the dawn of the era of air flight, will now develop and launch the era of net zero at our airports. The Port Authority's Building 1 decarbonization project, which is now launched this year, will make Building 1 fully carbon neutral, and it will serve as a template for the decarbonization of all buildings at our airport. 2023 also saw two milestones in regard to our solar agenda. The opening of the 5-megawatt solar array at Newark Terminal A, the biggest rooftop solar array at any airport in the country, and the full completion of initial work to support the electrical infrastructure for a 12-megawatt JFK community solar project. In the arena of technology and innovation, the Port Authority demonstrated its commitment. 14 pilot programs are testing technologies from autonomous vehicles to drone projects to many others out of our innovation hub, which we have founded specifically to spur innovation initiatives. On the employer of choice front, the agency continued our effort to attract and retain top talent. A particularly noteworthy effort occurred in the wake of COVID. Across the agency, we experienced more than 500 vacancies. This phenomenon of COVID, frequently called the Great Resignation, created a short staffing situation at the Port Authority, and not dissimilar from what other organizations faced. But we took this challenge on and set the goal to reduce vacancies to under 200, which is the normal level, just a turnover that we have you can't avoid. And the Port Authority did it. In 2023, the Port Authority successfully reduced the number of vacant positions to under 200, bringing the agency up essentially to its full complement of employees. Additionally, we've completed the first full year under the agency's revitalized performance management system, intended to demonstrate to employees that performance is done on an objective basis, not influenced by extraneous factors. Furthermore, the Port Authority expanded its second chance hiring initiatives, which work to provide employment opportunities to individuals with a history of involvement with the criminal justice system. In 2023, the Port Authority hired the first of what will be many justice-involved individuals, and we hired 20 as the beginning, and individuals in this program have reported tremendous success. We're proud to be a partner to the community and provide these opportunities. Finally, with respect to safety and security, with millions of customers traversing our airports, terminals, and path system each month, the security organization, including the Port Authority Police Department, maintained a very high level of security and protection at all of our facilities. In 2023, the agency allotted the highest level of resources in its history to a robust, world-class transportation security program. and the Port Authority and our Office of the Chief Security Officer maintained a very high level of both visible and undercover officers at all our facilities. In addition, in 2023, the Police Department fully developed body-worn cameras, expanded license readers at key locations such as the Gothel Bridge, and dramatically updated the system by which we grant security badges at our airports. Finally, the Port Authority Police Department graduated 2 classes of recruits, totaling 280 new officers, and those classes were the most diverse in the history of the 100-plus-year-old police force. All in all, 2023 has been an extraordinary year for the Port Authority, an excellent record of accomplishments. It is only through the efforts of our workforce that we are able to make this progress, and I close this report by once again thanking them for all of their efforts. And we appreciate them, and we look forward to an exciting 2024. With that, Mr. Chairman, I conclude my report.
Thank you, Rick. It's hard to imagine, Rick, everything you just talked about was actually during 2023. If you told me that occurred in the last 5 years, the last decade, I'd say job well done, but it's extraordinary. I think to fully appreciate what occurred, I don't think we take enough time to kind of step back and look at the things that have occurred at the Port Authority in particular. So I think what we're going to do is we have a video, 8-minute video. It's going to talk about, walk us through 2023. Can we put that video up, please? Thanks for to the staff that put that together. You look back 102 years, the Port Authority has had a lot of challenges. It would be the Great Depression, 93 bombing, 9/11, COVID, and political acrimony, a divided board, united board. It has seen a lot. And when you stand today at the end of 2023 and look at the list of accomplishments, it really makes you proud. And it really says this is what the authority was designed to do when it was conceived back in 1921. And first of all, I think we need to pay a little tribute to Rick. Rick actually smiled twice in the video, if you saw it, broadly with net zero. And it takes a leader of an organization with 8,000 employees who has a vision, who has a strength, who has a discipline, who has a sense of ethics and responsibility. And that's been Rick. It's been Rick for the last 6.5 years. Rick has led this agency in very difficult times. And in the legal community, they have this thing called a day in a life. You do a video to kind of preserve and show what happens in a given day. And if we did a day in a life video with Rick, it would start really early when I generally get a text at 5:30 a.m. and he says, "Do you have a minute?" Sure, I have a minute. And it goes until late in the evening, the hours, the collaboration. Rick is demanding, he's exacting, he's magnificent, he is wonderful. We couldn't have a better leader and a better executive director at this time than Rick Cotton. Rick, thank you very much for all that you do. Amazing, extraordinary. And when I have to say that, your staffer, Peter Simon, I really have to say, Peter, extraordinary partner working with Rick. And I just feel compelled, you don't do this often. This board is different than when we came in 17. And I'm sure 5 years from now, this board will look a little differently. But this board now, we had a dinner a couple weeks ago, and Commissioner Rosado said something that was striking. And she said over the last 10 or 11 years, she said she's seen a lot, and this board, she was so proud of this board came together and served the community. And that spoke volumes to who we are and what we are. And to my partner, Vice Chair Jeff Linford, amazing partnership, Jeff. Amazing partnership. I told you the first meeting we got together, and he looked at me in the eye, he goes, "Are you a crazy Republican?" I said, "No, I'm not a crazy Republican." So Jeff and I just have a certain rhythm, and it really works out. And to the board members, I sent a note to each one of you to really thank you. It's a lot of work. It's thankless in many ways. You read a lot, you study a lot, you collaborate a lot, you have a lot of interaction. This board is more interactive now than ever before. And to my fellow board members, I want to say thank you very much for allowing these accomplishments to take place in 2023. Really job well done, and I can't wait to see what the future brings. And when we talk about the Port Authority, I talk about the senior staff. That's like the glue that kind of holds it together, that works with Rick and senior staff. And you go every Monday and you sit around a table and you talk to senior staff and you collaborate, and they get to run a show every single day. And they're also proud of their departments and their divisions and what's going on. And sometimes you don't have enough time to talk about what's so exciting, what's going on. But there is big things going on every single day. There's no small projects. There's no small job at the Port Authority. And I think every once in a while we should take recognition of what the senior staff and to the larger extent the 8,000 employees do. And at the end of the day, it boils down to the employees. And I think we as a board members and Rick, and we talk about it, it is really on the backs of the Port Authority employees that all this greatness gets done. And it is easy in our societies to talk about what doesn't get done, whether it's a dysfunctionality in DC or governments that don't work or corporations that just fail us. But when you point to the successes that we've seen in 2023, there's a singular reason. It's because of the hard work and blood, sweat, and tears and give of the employees. They are so proud to be here. They are so proud to represent the Port Authority. And to the Port Authority employees, thank you very much for all that you do. Thankless. When we see you and we come to your places of work, there's such a sense of pride and ownership. And you just love talking about what you do. We love hearing it. So on behalf of the board and Rick and everybody, thank you very much for all that you do. It's a special place. It's a special time. You know, this board's cohesive. We've got great challenges ahead of us. We're doing great things, whether it's bus terminal, these airports, when you look at those things, the things at the port, you know, the redoing of the cables at the GW. There are so many important things that are going on, and this board has to continue to function as one, putting partisan aside, putting divides of geography of Hudson aside, and we've done it, and we're going to continue to do that. But I will tell you, the year is going to end on a strong note. Coming out of COVID, it's been just really dramatic, but 2024 offers us great promise and great hope. And so I say to everybody, thank you for working together. Looking forward to a strong 2024.
Mr. Chairman, a point of personal privilege.
Vice Chair.
One person who never gets the accolades, because he's giving out all the accolades, is our chairman. And he's a strong, collaborative leader. And once again, I think we owe him a round of applause with everyone else he just named.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Much appreciated. Next order of business, we're going to have a presentation by our Chief Financial Officer, Libby McCarthy, who will review the proposed 2024 budget. And the budget was posted on the Port Authority website through noon yesterday for public comment. Our Chief Financial Officer will provide us an overview of the nature of the comments received as part of her presentation, and we will defer the voting till after the speaker's program. And we have had many, many meetings, many sessions starting back in January dealing with this budget. Now it comes to the day, Libby, that we're actually going to vote on it. So tell us the good news.
Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon, Commissioners. So just want to start with a framing of the proposed 2024 budget, which was posted for comment. We had proposed a $9.3 billion budget comprised of operating expenses, capital spending, debt service, and deferred spending, all of which aligns with our mission to keep the region moving. This proposed budget reflects deliberate and responsible allocation of resources that's laser focused on our key priorities. The proposed budget includes $1 billion, or nearly $1 billion, to ensure the safety and security of the traveling public, the agency's dedicated employees, and the agency's facilities. And this is the largest ever security budget for the agency. We have proposed $2 billion of spending for the operation and maintenance of the agency's assets, focused on providing best-in-class facilities and exemplary customer experience. $3.6 billion is proposed in capital spending to invest in new facilities and perform essential state of good repair work at our existing assets. From a sustainability and resilience perspective, the proposed budget includes $86 million to advance the agency's net zero emission future, in addition to $220 million in resiliency-related funding to prepare the agency for its facilities for a warming climate. And from the innovation front, there's $219 million proposed to invest in technologies and systems that support innovation. Again, to frame things, what's going on at the facilities, we just heard about all of the accomplishments and the activities, et cetera, for 2023. We take that into consideration. We look forward and we say what's necessary funding to support the growth of the organization. This chart shows the activity levels that are assumed, that are built into the development of the budget. Just to orient you on these next two slides, the yellow dotted line is our activity levels at our facilities in 2019. The blue line is our actual activity levels starting in 2019, actuals through 22, our estimate for 23, and then our projection for 2024. Aviation is on the left, and what we are projecting for aviation is a record 146.6 million passengers to be using our facilities in 2024 as they continue to transform our airports into 21st century airports. For TB&T, the tunnels and bridges, we're expecting 122 or projecting 122 million vehicles. That's just above or at the 2019 levels. As we, again, continue to invest in our state of good repair programs, George Washington Bridge, and also moving forward some exciting new projects, which I'll talk about in a few moments. At the ports, 20-foot equivalent units are projected to be 8.1 million units. That's 8% above 2019 levels. And we are focused on continuing to maintain port's leadership position amongst U.S. ports. And then at PATH, we're projecting 57 million riders. That's 70% of 2019 levels. So PATH has been had the longest impact from COVID-19, and that's reflecting a shift in the hybrid work environment. But we're also focused on improving customer experience, the new SGR initiative that the board approved in November. Rick talked about 9-car operations, the further launching of the tap-and-go system. And then finally, at the World Trade Center, as we've now, following the completion of the Performing Arts Center, we're looking at maximizing the vibrancy of the campus, as well as operating and maintaining that now fully leased Tower 1. This chart shows our projected 2024 gross operating revenues. We project $6.7 billion in revenues. That's a 4.9% increase versus 2023. That increase is driven really by a $220 million increase in aviation revenues. $134 million of that is activity-based revenues and the full-year effect of the redevelopment leases. As those redevelopments have started, now we'll have the lease rentals in for the full year. And then aviation fees are also increasing by $77 million, and that's due to cost recoveries as well as airport access fee growth and a slight increase in the AirTrain fares, driven by the CPI-based increase in those fares that was approved by the board in 2019. TB&T also has a projected increase in revenues of $103 million. $75 million of that is from the annual CPI-based toll increase that was approved by the board in 2008, affirmed in 2011, and affirmed for a third time in 2019. And then there's also increased vehicle mix and growth of $28 million. And then finally, PATH has a modest increase reflecting ridership growth, $8 million. The PATH fare is going to remain consistent with its current fare level. Moving on to the expenses, a proposed operating expense budget of $3.9 billion. It reflects a proposed budgetary inflation escalation of 3.5% or $126 million. In addition to that, we're proposing special purpose spending of $66 million, necessitated by new or expanded facilities. We've talked a lot about some of the facilities that opened. You saw some of the pictures. Those larger footprints require more dollars to maintain them, operate them. So there's $23 million for that. We have some incremental spending in the security budget to reflect the changing threat landscape that we're seeing today. That's bringing our total spend, as we talked about, to approximately $1 billion. The new PATH State of Good Repair program that the executive director just spoke about, focused on reducing delays and enhancing customer experience, is embedded in that as well. And then there's costs related to where there's incremental revenues that help offset those costs, but they're really primarily related to asset life extensions for both the Kennedy and Newark AirTrains. So all in, that's our proposed operating expense budget. Moving on to the capital budget, we've proposed a spending plan of $3.6 billion in 2024. That's bringing us back to our sort of pre-COVID spending levels, and it's supported by the recovery in the agency's net revenues following COVID-19. The proposed budget it is, you can see here, broken down by the departments, the largest increase being at aviation, and that's to move forward into full construction mode, the JFK redevelopment program, as well as the launch of the AirTrain Newark program, moving that program for the replacement of the AirTrain, and the Newark Station Access program. The other large increase here is at TB&T. And so that's in addition to kind of the ramp up of the spending on the Restore the George program, the State of Good Repair program that you saw some pictures of a minute ago. It's also the ramp up in the planning and design and early action work for the Midtown Bus Replacement Program, as well as moving several other large projects along in their life cycle. At PATH, we'll be continuing that rollout of the fair payment system, the tap and go system, and at Port Street Corridor, you saw the pictures of the dirt tossing for the Port Street Corridor program, and that's embedded in this program as well. The proposed debt service expenditures is $1.7 billion. That's an increase of $52 million or 3%. That's driven by higher scheduled principal payments on existing bonds, slightly higher interest rates, and then also debt service on new bond issuances. This assumes $1 billion of bonds will be issued for purposes of funding the capital plan in 2024. This slide here just shows the sources that fund this proposed $9.3 billion budget, and you can see the sources are matched to the proposed uses. Chairman, as you mentioned, we posted the budget for public comment, the proposed budget for public comment on November 15th. We also made sure it was widely known that it was there by issuing a press release and providing notices to the print, television, radio, and digital media. We also then presented that proposed budget at our board meeting in public on the 21st of November. I'm happy to say that we've received 215 comments on the proposed budget. Those comments have been analyzed by staff. They were shared with the commissioners prior to this meeting. And this slide shows you the breakdown of the nature of those comments. 110 of the comments were requesting consideration of expanded PATH service on the nights and the weekends as PATH ridership continues its steady recovery, and we have seen the recovery levels higher in those periods than the overall period. So we're aware of this increasing volume in the off-peaks, and we are undertaking an analysis of these requests to determine the appropriate action going forward. 70 comments were received related to fares. 69 of those were in opposition of the automatic inflation-based increase for the AirTrain, and one was in opposition to the Tunnel and Bridge CPI adjustment. As I mentioned, these adjustments were mandated by prior board actions, including 2008, 11, and 19, and were triggered by increases in CPI when measured from September 22 to September 23 of 3.7%. These not only these were prior mandates, but they are important and necessary to provide the support for us to pay for our increased expenses as a result of inflation, as well as to support the capital program, including today's contract award that you'll be considering for the Newark AirTrain replacement. 35 comments were general in nature, including 27 that request that the Port Authority prioritize its mass transit options and focus on making sure there's appropriate levels of spending for PATH, the bus terminal, and the George Washington Bridge bus station. And all of those comments have been reviewed and referred to the respective departments for consideration. So in light of this and staff's analysis, we continue to recommend passage of the proposed budget, the 24 proposed budget. So here again, we request authorization of a $9.3 billion 2024 budget comprised of the components shown on this chart here.
Libby, thank you very much. Challenging year coming out of the COVID, trying to marry, increasing revenues, increasing costs, increasing operational spend. You have been at this for 12 months now. It's coming to hopefully a successful end today. Please pass along to you, obviously to your staff. It's an amazing job, amazingly dedication. It's very sophisticated, very in the weeds, and after literally thousands of meetings you've had over the last 12 months, this is the day we're going to hopefully have a passage of this budget. Any comments or questions from the commissioners? All right, we're going to hold this in abeyance until we have the speaker program behind us, and then we'll vote. Thank you, Libby. All right, at this point, we have our Chief Operating Officer, Jim Heitman, present an item for the board's consideration that would authorize a contract for system technology as part of the AirTrain Newark replacement program. And we'll defer this action until after the public portion. Jim?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. As Chairman O'Toole said, I'm here to talk about the AirTrain Newark replacement program. As you recall, about a year ago, we started a new multi-contract strategy to increase competition and reduce project risks. Today, we seek board approval to advance the first major project for system technology. This includes automatic people mover system components such as vehicles, automatic train controls, electric power and propulsion systems. In addition, it includes the O&M of that system post-construction. The other contract packages that are listed here are fully underway and will be back as those projects advance over time. Just to kind of summarize the procurement process, the system technology requirements project was launched back in December 2022 with the request for qualifications. 3 teams were shortlisted in March, and we advanced to the request for proposal phase. We received technical proposals finalized in September, and then a month later we received the final price proposals. The selected preferred proposer offered the proposer with the best value to the Port Authority. The firm that we're recommending is Doppelmayr to serve as the overall contractor, installer, designer, and O&M service contract. The most advantageous to the Port Authority in terms of best value due to the highest technical rating and the lowest design and construction bid prices. Just to highlight some of the features that we're getting from this system, it's a very reliable system based on a centralized propulsion design and a proven service in severe weather. It also brings superior customer experience by way of enhanced dynamic digital signage, vehicles that I'll show you some renderings of, and a focus on customer experience through the O&M period of the contract. It also carried a very strong MWBE plan with a focus on local throughout all phases of construction and all through the O&M period for the 20 years anticipated beyond that. This is an early representation of one of the potential color schemes and nose designs for the new Doppelmayr vehicles. This is an interior rendering that shows a walk-through car design allowing passengers to move through any of the cars on the train. It features expansive glazing and real-time information displays. This is a rendering of the proposed station platform system and related signage. As I mentioned, all digital, all dynamic, all up to speed. On the left, you see a display that shows the train direction and major destinations. In the center, there's customized messaging that's relevant to the travelers. And on the right is a real-time map that shows the system and where the trains are on the system. To review where we are in the overall program timeline, I offer this rendering here. So we started with our early works packages last month, and we expect the first work orders to go out to contractors in a few weeks. With the award of the system technology package today, we'll turn our focus to the guideway and station package to be awarded at the end of 2024. These will be followed shortly by the MCF, the Maintenance Control Facility, and the pedestrian connections in 2025. And so major construction at the airport will be seen in Q2 of 2025. And the system will become operational in 2029. We're seeking authorization today to delegated authority to the executive director to award these contracts. First, for the design and construction of the AirTrain Newark Replacement Program System Technology Project at its price proposal of approximately $570 million, and the operation and maintenance of the AirTrain Newark System Technology following the completion of construction for an additional 10-year term with 2 5-year extension options at its price proposal of $385 million in a net present value over that 20-year term. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any comments or questions from the commissioners? I know we went over this in executive. We're going to hold off voting on this till after we hear from the public. But Jim, I know there's a lot of work. I mean, a tremendous amount of work. This has been going on with some history. I want to thank you, purchasing, Lily, and your folks, legal, Amy, and all the departments that have been involved in this. This is a huge deal for the port, a huge deal for the AirTrain project, which has kind of been hanging out there for a while. So we're going to move this thing forward after the public portion. Thank you. We'll now provide an opportunity for the members of the public to comment on Port Authority matters. This is a public comment period, which will be limited to 30 minutes in total, and provide an opportunity for members of the public to present their views directly to the board, but does not provide for a dialogue. Members of the public wishing to discuss a specific matter with the Port Authority staff are advised to contact the Public Affairs Department. Speakers are asked to comply with a fixed time limit of 3. We have 5 speakers who have signed up. First one is Roberto Ruiz Melendez. Is Roberto here? Alrighty, Douglas Freeman. Is Douglas here? Trent Mockner. Is Trent here? Alrighty, then we have 2 videos. Jerry Keenan, can we play that first? It's a video. Jim?
That's correct.
Chairman O'Toole and members of the Board of Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Jerry Keenan, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. The New Jersey Alliance for Action is a nonpartisan and nonprofit association representing thousands of business, labor, government, utility, education, professional, and other New Jersey leaders. Our mission is to improve New Jersey's economy through the promotion of environmentally friendly capital construction and infrastructure investment. For 50 years, the Alliance has focused exclusively on building a better future in New Jersey. To state it simply, the Alliance stands here this morning in full support of this proposed 2024 budget and the capital plans that are part of it. Why? Well, the infrastructure commitment being made today will benefit New Jersey and the region for the remainder of the 21st century. Those commitments include the replacement of the AirTrain at Newark Liberty International Airport and construction of a new Port Authority bus terminal. The current bus terminal serves nearly 250,000 New Jersey residents daily. We also proudly support the advancement of path service for the Newark International Airport Station access. That project promises to expand rail and airport access for underserved communities in Newark and Elizabeth. Also at stake here today is the future of our ports, a key economic lifeline for our region, especially for the state of New Jersey. The Port Street Corridor Improvement Project will help ensure that our ports remain accessible and vital and supply large portions of our eastern seaboard with the goods that come through our substantial international trade. This budget also makes important commitments to funding port security. In addition, it makes substantial continuing investments in the Port Authority's laudable goal of being carbon neutral by 2050. The commitments being made here today are investments in our future, and the transportation and port access projects are just part of an overall plan that'll ensure the region's future prosperity. It's critical that the Port Authority continue to make those investments, and the New Jersey Alliance for Action will continue to support them at every turn. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. The last video taped, it's Matthew Bucas Highland. Do we have his video?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Matty W. Bucky's Highland. I want to speak today about, as 2023 draws to a close, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey have exciting opportunities to come in 2024 under its leadership of Chairman Kevin J. O'Toole, Vice Chairman Jeffrey H. Linford, and Executive Director Richard Cotton. 2024 is going to be a great year. I enjoy sending you video written statements. I'm hoping that I can come in person to one of your board meetings. Thank you. God bless you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and a very happy New Year. I'll send it back to Chairman O'Toole.
Thank you. Jim, any other signed speakers or videos?
That is all.
Thank you very much. We'll now proceed with the voting items of the day. Each of the respective committee chairs will provide a brief report prior to the matter being considered. We're first going to hear from Commissioner Cohen to start the portion of the proceedings as Chair of the Committee on Finance. Then we'll hear from Vice Chair Linford, who will provide his report on behalf of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management. And we'll conclude with my report on behalf of the Committee on Operations. I would ask at this time Commissioner Cohen to provide his report.
Thank you very much. Is that working now?
Yes.
Terrific. As Chair of the Committee on Finance, I recommend an item that authorizes the 2024 budget consistent with the parameters described by the Chief Financial Officer during her presentation on the 2024 budget. Prior to making a motion on this item, will the Corporate Secretary please note any Commissioner recusals?
There are no recusals required.
Do Commissioners have any questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion on this item? And can I have a second? Moved. It's allowed. So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Would the Corporate Secretary please call the roll for voting on this item?
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage? Yes. Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Whoops.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe? Yes. Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
The votes are in order. The item is approved. Next, I recommend for consideration several items necessary to accommodate the Port Authority's financing needs. This includes a one-year authorization for consolidated bonds and notes. It also includes a three-year plan of financing for debt obligations characterized as private activity bonds under federal tax law. A virtual public hearing was held earlier this week on the proposed three-year plan of financing. The first item is for approval of a three-year plan of financing to satisfy federal law requirements with respect to the public approval of the issuance of bonds, notes, and other obligations characterized as private activity bonds under federal law. Prior to making a motion on this particular item, I would ask the Corporate Secretary to note any recusals.
There are no recusals.
In that case, may I have a motion on this item?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Would the Corporate Secretary please call the roll for voting on this item?
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
She's a yes.
She's a yes.
Yes.
The item is approved. The next two items authorize the establishment, issuance, and sale of consolidated bonds as necessary to effectuate the 2024 financing needs. I would ask the Corporate Secretary to please note any Commissioner recusals.
There are no recusals.
May I have a motion on those items?
Motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Would the Corporate Secretary please call the roll for voting on these items?
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
The items are approved. The next two items authorize the establishment, issuance, and sale of consolidated notes as necessary to effectuate the 2024 financing needs. Would the Corporate Secretary please note any Commissioner recusals?
There are no recusals.
May I have a motion on these items?
Motion.
May I have a second?
So moved.
Second?
So moved.
Would the Corporate Secretary please call the roll for voting on these items.
Chairman O'Toole.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen.
Yes.
Commissioner Eve.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher. Yes. Commissioner Helmy.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
The item is approved. I will thank our Corporate Secretary, Mr. McCoy, for his serving as a trusty dance partner as usual, and I will turn it back to our Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. Vice Chair Linford, may I have your report?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Chair of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, I will now report on 4 items. The first item, which was presented earlier by our Chief Operating Officer, authorizes the award of a contract to Doppelmayr, the highest-rated proposer, to design, construct, and operate and maintain new system technology, specifically rail cars and related subsystems as part of the AirTrain Newark Replacement Program. Prior to making a motion of this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
There are no recusals.
Do any commissioners have questions or comments? I now request a motion on this item. May I have
So
a second?
moved.
Thank you. I now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on the item.
Chairman O'Toole.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen.
Yes.
Commissioner Eve.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher. Yes. Commissioner Helmy.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved. The second item was discussed earlier today in committee. The item authorizes cost-sharing agreements with the United States Army Corps of Engineers for preliminary engineering and feasibility studies to inform potential future navigational improvements for the New York, New Jersey harbor. That was one sentence, boy. The total cost of the Port Authority is approximately $19.2 million, including the local share and Port Authority support costs. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
There are no recusals.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I request a motion on this item.
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for
Chairman.
voting on the item.
Chairman O'Toole.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen.
Yes.
Commissioner Eve.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher. Yes. Commissioner Helmy.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved. The third item would authorize a project to replace Pat's Substation Number 8 at a total project cost of $86.4 million. This reflects a $14.4 million increase as compared to the previously authorized amount. Up to 90% of the cost is expected to be funded by a Federal Transit Administration grant. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
Chairman O'Toole is recused.
Any others?
No, sir.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions or comments on this item? I now request a motion on this item. I now request a
So
motion
moved.
on this item.
Second.
Thank you.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on the item.
Vice Chairman Linford.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen.
Yes.
Commissioner Eve.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher. Yes. Commissioner Helmy.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved. The fourth and final item authorizes the expenditure of $40 million to complete a project for the design and construction of the World Trade Center West Bathtub Vehicular Access Project. This expenditure is being accommodated by the transfer of funds to this project from other elements of the World Trade Center program which have been delivered below the budgeted amounts. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
There are no recusals.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions or comments at this time? I now request a motion on this item. Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on the item.
Chairman O'Toole,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen.
Yes.
Commissioner Eve.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher.
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
Thank you. As the votes are in order, this item is approved. I now turn it back to our chairman.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. As Chair of the Committee on Operations, I will now present an item for the committee's purview. The item authorizes a lease for the operation of a Taco Bell restaurant at Journal Square Transportation Center for an approximate 10-year period, an aggregate rent of $1.12 million. The lease also contains 4 5-year extension periods. Prior to making a motion, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any recusals.
There are no recusals.
Any comments or questions? Motion, please. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen.
Yes.
Commissioner Eve.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher.
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
The votes are in order. The item is approved. There being no further business, I move to adjourn. Here a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Meeting
Aye.
is now adjourned. I want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. Have a safe holiday. We'll see you in January or February.
Happy
Maybe
holidays,
February.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.